In June 2017, my colleague and I attended a contest called ATX Hack for Change, during which programmers and activists convened to make apps that were geared towards social justice. My colleague suddenly found an errand that she was required to attend, while I was delegated the task of attending the conference, putting together a concept for an app, finding a programmer, and launching said app in an attempt to gain relevance. While I was continuing to work at my full time job, I came up with an idea. What if black people could anonymously discuss their experiences in different places and provide feedback about their level of comfort? After all, if everyone is allowed to say that they are fearful in our mere presence, what if we had a way to speak without retaliation? First, I was speaking to a black man who had a number of ideas, but was executing none of them in my presence, so I had no idea about what he could do. Next, I was talking to a white man who, when I proposed the concept of the app, immediately produced a demo and made it possible to test the app with both a black man sitting with us and me. As I was limited to a weekend, speed was essential, and we set about coming up with a name for the app, trying Comfort Austin and No Austin, both of which were taken. Because I was a writer, I did a search for synonyms of those words, and I found that Decipher Austin was available. I imagined that there would be an opportunity to expand outside Austin, so I registered Decipher City for the app when I presented it with the programmer. Even though the contest was supposed to match activists with programmers and entice funding, we were all considered to have won, which meant that we would be on our own to find funding. At that, my, at that point, my colleague and I met with the graduate students group and the programmer, and we tried to consider everything that needed to be done to create this business. My colleague found another graphic designer who solidified the visual presentation for the app and could make it more attractive for clients. Everyone agreed to be available if I could secure funding, and I immediately set off applying for an EIN number, finding contracts to bid on, registering with the Secretary of State, funding a server to hold our data, registering with Apple and Google, attending meetings, and making presentations to find opportunities. As this was also a time when everyone was supposedly looking for a way to relieve police brutality and address racism, I believe that even though I would never have a massive fortune, I might be able to make a steady living and enough to support the people who believed in this project. I worked on Decipher City as much as I could while trying to maintain my social connections. My final interaction with my church was during the Vacation Bible School of 2017, and I had only agreed to work part time based on the bigotry I had experienced during the last time I participated in a church activity. The last time I was available for Vacation Bible School was in 2013, and I was paid. Decipher City was not acquiring any income, so I could desperately use the money, having liquidated my third retirement to invest in the possibility of deciphercity.org. I noticed a problem on the first day because there were two sets of black sisters, one set of black brothers. The sister sets had matching ages, but the two black boys were on different floors, one with the youth and the other with the children. During the entire week, I saw everyone correcting him, and I tried to step in, but unfortunately, most of the other workers were teachers with the Austin Independent School District, which I knew from experience to be an incredibly degrading school system for black children. On the last day of Vacation Bible School, the younger black boy was having a meltdown, and I scooped him up and took him outside, prepared to share my wisdom from my own experience with him. I sat him on the chair away from me, and I sat on the couch facing him, saying, "Listen, you can't fight back like that in class because they'll think you're bullying them. Well, they bully me, so I bully them," he yelled. And for that moment, I was once again that frustrated fourth grader being bullied by my own teacher and other classmates, with everyone thinking the worst of me. Just then, his white adoptive sister came over and started trying to force him to take a pill, and I did my level best to get her out of our conversation, but she refused to listen. I did not like her because she enjoyed carrying this black boy on her hip, and I knew that she thought of him as a doll or a prop to her family, not as a true human being who is having a completely reasonable response to being alienated by his classmates. To dismiss my authority as an adult, she got her mother on the phone, who coerced me into allowing her to force a pill down his throat and return him compliantly to class. Unbeknownst to me, all the other white adults were reporting me to the children's director of the church, another white woman, and they were ready to gang up on me and get rid of this black nuisance as they saw me. When I went with the children to another class, the children's director pulled me outside the classroom and stated that I had been completely in the wrong. I tried to explain to her that I had experience as a black woman in an all white environment, at which point she yelled, "I have 20 years of experience as a public school teacher." Again, I was made to feel like a child, and the younger black boy saw two things. One, his opinion was worthless to any of the white adults around him, and two, even if he grew up, no one would ever believe in his autonomy. I said nothing for a moment, then replied, "If I cannot talk about being black in this church, then today is my last day." True to my word, I never set foot inside that cursed place again. The children's director pretended that she had simply been distracted and asked to meet with me, and I accepted none of that garbage. It took her 2 weeks to offer a fake apology and ask for a meeting, and when I suggested a date, she had already planned to go on vacation but refused to offer another date. I was never paid, and within a month I made sure that I got off all the email lists for that evil space. Later, the behavior would be rationalized by stating, "We always state that mornings are voluntary while afternoons are paid." Unfortunately, what most rising black activists and other activists reminded me of was that the dominant narrative likes to posture about addressing societal ills. While people really enjoyed my coming around to discuss Decipher City and making sad faces, none of that translated into money earned. I had quit my job due to not receiving bonuses or promotions despite stellar reviews for 2 years in a row, and my performance had reasonably declined as a result. Decipher City had tried opening up to different cities in hopes of other Texas cities finding the process interesting. We hoped that some major firms were interested in the experiences of their non white employees and were exploring options to make workplaces safer. We received no income, and later, in 2019, we found that the Massachusetts Institute of Technology had gained traction and funding from a similar idea in 2016 and were able to present the Atlas of Inequality. There is no competing with the dominant narrative in terms of resources and attention, and the only way to extend the possible viability of deciphercity.org was to morph into a blog, which is what happened beginning in October 2017. During the summer of 2017, I was also attending meetings with the City of Austin Equity Action Team, hoping to find people interested in investing or at least businesses willing to contract so that we could see if we had a viable product. Sending out and searching for bids with my limited resources was becoming a struggle, and I was running out of options before I would be forced to find a roommate who trusted me enough to let me stay relatively for free, with the understanding that they would be repaid. I would offer demonstrations and get a lot of enthusiastic nods, but no real investment, and I noticed that the city often had the same people offering the same opinions, even when the equity officer made different proposal. The whole experience began to feel like an echo chamber without any lasting commitment from the city and no real investment in my efforts, so I stopped attending in 2018. Running in too many directions meant lost energy, and I needed to start looking for work.